Welcome back to Newsmaker Live with Laura, where we make your stories our stories. And this show is, that tag has never been more true. With us this evening, we have two young ladies, remarkable, amazing women with us who have been sharing their stories with us, and we're bringing it to you in the hopes that one day somebody who has gone through or who is going through what they have been through could learn and garner some strength from that to get out of a bad situation, which will only become worse if something is not done. Before the break, we were talking about how your story began, and for both of you it was at a pretty young age. Tell us how life has been different for you from having come out of the closet, so to speak, at different stages.
Hey.
And today, as young women doing advocacy and pro-safe, how that has rocked your truth, as you put it, as Zyla, and how it has enabled others to rock their truth.
Me first?
Yes.
There were so many things. Personally, I realized how much I was minimizing. I realized how, without intention, I was hurting myself so many more times over than before. I've seen myself in so many clients. I've seen myself in so many people who are in denial of their own stories of survival. I grow every day. I've experienced a lot of hate. I've experienced a lot of
Hate?
Yeah.
From your perpetrators, you mean?
From one of my perpetrators, but from people, from women in our society.
From women?
We've gotten threats as well. Yeah, it's been a range of
women
responses.
that you're trying to help.
No. Just women in society.
Well, no. When I say women, you're trying to help. Generally, you're trying to help women, children, men, everybody to, understand that this scourge exists.
Well, you see, there are people who, on a professional level, it's ticklish because there are women in society who have been giving their lives for these things. Right? That's what they say. And they have been, in many ways, except that's their sacred personal truth, and they don't need to tell anybody, no. Yes, it's true, it is your sacred personal truth, but if you are walking with shame and therefore being hurt and hurting other people in other ways because of your bitterness, you're also hurting clients, you're working on burnout, and you have these two people who've returned home to give back and do this work and to advocate and educate with and without resources. Just because of the resources that are in here, you're going to face a lot of... I've had prominent female people say to me, oh, you and Sue need to stop that club thing that you all are doing, get a real job. So I've had...
seriously, you need to stop this club thing, like it's some sort of elite... You choose to be there.
This cool, fun thing that we're doing to seek attention. Yeah.
Because you're too young to have an experienced voice.
For all kinds of reasons. I don't know. That's their thing. My internal response is hurt people. I wish you'd deal with your truth. I'm dealing with mine. This is not easy. I am not seeking attention. I am living my truth. I'm growing every day as a survivor. In many aspects of self, I have become a thriver. In certain aspects, I'm just coming over the hill of victim. And in similar spaces in myself, I'm still a survivor. So that's the truth. We're all growing.
Does that make you angry?
Does it make me angry? It hurts. Where I get angry is when I start dealing with ministries of like education and justice. That's when the rage comes.
Why?
And then I'm glad for the word advocate then. Why? Because there's so many basic things in psychology and education that our people should know on a grassroots level, and it's not being taught.
How would you change that? And I'm going to come to you. How would you change that? Because I've always said that these kinds of advocacy is re-acculturation, it's re-education, it's rewiring of a people. And you're right, you have to start at the education level, in the ministry and the policy makers. How would you?
Well, we're doing it. We live in our truth. Sue has a job out of her field. I work freelance. We all face economic rape every day, whether or not we'd like to admit it, whether or not we realize we're sucking up to the man, whether or not we realize we're suffering classism and racism in all kinds of ways, in subtle ways that that happen and that happen. You don't know how to approach somebody to get basic resources. There's no compassion in the human service area here in St. Lucia. There's no respect across. I mean, I'm generalizing. There are exceptions, and there are wonderful people that I have met, but those are exceptions. I'm not here to sugarcoat things. Sue and I have helped each other, we've helped ourselves, and we have our own means of debriefing and working our way through this, but it is by no means easy to walk the streets. It's not easy.
Well, you're kind of well known now, and a lot of people, and men in particular, are not going to be very fond of you. And you're right.
Men have actually been very supportive.
Is that right?
Yes.
Amazing.
I don't think so. That's why I spoke so much about taking back the family unit and the way women socialize women at the march last week. We don't treat each other well as women. There are reasons for that in our history that we need to go back to and come back out of. We need to go into the psychology for that. We need to go into the education for that. We need to stop that territorial nature. We need to stop that ageism thing that we keep doing to each other. We need to stop raising our boys like we're angry at them for the men that abused us. As women, we need to stop putting that pressure on our young boys. There are so many things. So men have actually been, from my experience, very supportive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how has life changed for you from grade 6 to now?
I think I didn't know what to think. And so, I mean, I'm being completely honest. You don't know how to deal with it. You go from saying what's happened and having nothing done and going back to living in a house with the person that has abused you and seeing him and having your parents talk about him, etc. So you begin to question, and then the things that were said to you begin to play over. Mom and dad are going to be mad at you. So those things play. So when I left, I think when I went to school, my entire college career, I was very quiet. I knew I went to school and I knew that's what my goal was, and so I excelled at that. I think while I was in school and I was away from everything and I was on my own, I had a lot of anger and resentment, and I, at that point in time, I began to speak a little bit about what had happened to me. I don't speak about it I don't do it very often, and never in great detail. But during my period in school, that brought some of it out. I think it may be due to the fact that I was doing psychology courses, and a lot of them ask you to talk about yourself and your past, etc. So I think that helped. And then I came back and he was here, and then it brought you back to a place that you didn't want to be in, and for quite some time I struggled, and I don't think I'm over that yet. I think there's still a lot of anger and resentment, and I know that I definitely don't want to see him, and the good thing is that I'm able to say that, whereas before I couldn't say that. Whereas before I would walk in if I knew he was going to be there, but you do what's best for the family. So if we're having a family function, you're going to go whether or not he's going to be there. Now I can put my foot down and say I'm not going to go if he's going to be there. I can say I'm not going to do something if he's going to benefit from it. So that has changed. I think I've grown in that respect. I think I've grown in terms of being able to place certain boundaries. I'm still struggling with feeling guilty for placing those boundaries, but it's a step in the right direction.
Right. So, you've come to this point. You've come out, you've grown, you've gone to school, you have a semblance of an idea as to what you want to do. Tell us about ProSafe, how that has come about, how you started. I know you said you had unofficial start and you had an official start, and how that has worked out, and what does ProSafe actually do?
The unofficial start was when I told Vel I was going to go ahead and put up my story. So that was the unofficial start. I did a Facebook page, and that was the first place I put it out. The newspaper came much later. Vel and I actually did the newspaper together when that was done. The Facebook one was what was done first. That was the unofficial start. It was called Surviving Sexual Abuse in the Caribbean at that time. And the responses that you got were kind of mixed. People thought that you were looking for attention or revenge.
No, it's funny because I actually have a friend who came out, and in the class that we were, there were some mixed responses as well. And I got angry, and I was really, really angry, and I don't think she expected me to champion her cause, but I was angry because I knew her from maybe age 5 and never suspected anything. And I felt guilty because I was a little girl, but as an adult, in my head, I'm like, but you should have recognized that your friend, something was wrong. And so I felt angry that people didn't believe her, and I felt guilty that I had not recognized at 5, 10. You know what I mean? Between that age. How do you? So it's amazing when people would rag on you for coming out and telling your truth.
While I don't want to say that it's understandable, it's kind of a roll with the punches kind of thing. A lot of people don't understand, and people don't know how to respond, and so when they don't know how to respond, they lash out. Whether it's because they haven't admitted something to themselves, or because they literally don't know what to say, and they feel that that's the best thing to say, or because they know the abuser and they don't want to accept that the abuser could have done something like that.
You guys, your articles in the paper, I actually used to look forward to that.
Thank you.
All the time, because
And now you don't look forward to it.
Oh, no, I always do, but for me, I was a coming out for me as well, because I wanted to understand that experience that I spoke to you about earlier. So I wanted to, she was not accessible, so I couldn't talk to her and sit with her, and then I was afraid to sit with her and talk to her and ask her and, indulge my curiosity, because then I felt guilty, because I felt like I was making her relieve those stories. So I could have leave that through your article. So I want to thank you for that, and I'm sure that there were a lot of people who actually got that catalyst, that that thing to release from your article. So thank you guys for doing that.
You're welcome.
We're due for another break, but when we come back, we will talk about your advocacy. Where do you do speeches? Who are your target audiences? We'll be right back.